Good afternoon, everybody. Martin Heft, Undersecretary, Office of Policy and Management, will call the Commission on Connecticut's Development and Future, our regular meeting Monday, October 3rd at 3:02 p.m. to order. Mr. Clerk, do we have a quorum for attendance? And we do, thank you. Is there a way to move that block up there? Thank you. Our next order of business is the approval of the August 1st of 22 minutes. If I could get a motion on the floor for those.
So moved.
So moved, Chairman.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Representative, and seconded by David. Is there any discussion, corrections, additions? Seeing none, all those in favor, either signify by saying aye or raise your hand on your Zoom screen so we can note that.
Aye.
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 Hey,
Aye.
thank you. Is there any against? Any abstentions? And the minutes are approved. Thank you. Going to move on to our working groups, and we're going to have our detailed reports as we did at the last meeting, and then summary reports from those that gave detailed previously. So the first up is our state and municipal statutory plan process. Is Representative McCarthy-Vahey on?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Mr.
Representative.
Heft, are you able to?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. You're not hearing an echo?
Jeff is going to Boston or something to see
You know what?
Tom.
I'm gonna have to have you come back to me.
Well, something different. I don't
Okay, not a problem, Representative. So let's go on to the state consolidated housing plan. And I know that our two co-chairs are not here. Mr. Co-chair, would you like to read their report?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Our co-chairs weren't able to join us today, but they did provide us an update in writing, and I'll just read it. It's not very long. After meeting five times, a consolidated housing plan subgroup has assembled a draft set of recommendations covering 7 major subject areas. 1, incorporating housing need assessments. 2, tailoring plans to communities. 3, identifying opportunities for preservation and rehabilitation. 4, addressing housing quality and healthy homes. 5, expanding evaluation of prior performance. 6, non-funding housing strategies. 7, incorporating input from individuals with lived expertise. Note that these areas may change over the coming months. The group is continuing to meet to discuss and refine their recommendations. This includes ongoing conversations about the scope of these recommendations and the best vehicle for larger coordinated state housing policy planning. Overall, the group notes that having one major state plan for housing that aligns with and incorporates the many other smaller plans, funding allocation systems, and directives is important. The consolidated plan may or may not be the vehicle. However, a major periodic state plan should be assembled. The group last met on September 15th. They will meet again on October 18th and again on October 18th and again on November 30th. And at this time, the group anticipates submitting its final report by the end of the year.
Terrific. Thank you very much. And I also know that our sewerage working group co-chairs are not able to be with us. They said the group has been meeting regularly and are getting closer to making recommendations to the greater commission here. So I'd like to go back to see if Representative McCarthy-Vahey is able to join us.
Mr. Heft, I need just another couple minutes. Apologies, technical issues.
Not a problem. If what we'll do then is let's continue on and we'll come back to the representative, and we'll go to the summary reports, model code and design development, Representative Zulu and David Barkin. I know, David, you're here. I don't know if Representative Zulu's on the call. Okay, no. So David, I will turn it to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Heft. We have submitted our draft report. And we're planning on meeting again in the coming months. I would say our draft report is approximately 85+% complete. So I think we made a lot of progress since August 1st.
Thank you very much. And municipal affordable housing plans, Representative Lamar and Tim Hollister. I know Representative Lamar is on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hollister is unable to join us today, but I wanted to give you a very positive report back from our subgroup. We've continued to meet regularly over the spring and summer. We've met about 8 times to date. We have a few more dates scheduled before the end of the year. We've had the chance to evaluate a large portion of the already submitted municipal housing plans. We've had an opportunity to talk with stakeholders, communities, and advocacy groups in and around those plans to see what some of the shortcomings are, what some of the really positive plans look like, and how to best instruct municipalities going forward and how to comply with the statutory requirements. We anticipate having a final draft completed by the end of October, and we'll have a robust conversation in our committee to make sure it reflects the viewpoints of everyone on it. But we do not anticipate having any problem forwarding a final report by the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And we'll see if Representative McCarthy-Vahey.
Mr. Hess, hopefully the third time is the charm. Is that correct?
It's all
Thank
good.
you. Thank you so much. The joys of hybrid meetings, right? So our working group has met, we've missed a couple meetings, but we have had conversation and heard from members who had done research on state plans of conservation and development in other states, what the process was like. We're still gathering some of that information. We've also had some separate meetings with members of the departments and agencies, I should say. And I want to thank Rebecca Auger from OPM for helping to gather and convene some of those conversations so that we can come together and look at recommendations. We have not drafted anything, and we are going to, we plan to increase our op tempo of meetings so that we can come up with something for the end of the year. So I'm hopeful that, especially with the help and support of the tremendous team in OPM, that we will be able to get something back to the group, as we know that this process for the adoption of the state plan of conservation and development is one that we are going to have to address one way or another legislatively, given the way we passed the legislation this past year. So I look forward to continuing to work together with the members of the group, and I want to thank those working group members who have really stuck with us. Thanks, Mr. F.
Thank you, Representative. I'd like to offer opportunity if anyone on the commission has any questions or comments for any of the reports that have been presented. And hearing none and seeing no hands raised, we will continue on then to some business. So next is a review of our timeline. We are asking for all working group recommendations to be available for our December 5th meeting, which is our next meeting. So we'd ask that you get them into our clerks at least the week prior. So hopefully the end of November, that last week of November. So everyone will have an opportunity to review those prior to our December 5th meeting. So all your recommendations or your reports to get in, that last week of November. So we have them again for the December 5th meeting. Then we will take the time between December and July of reviewing those recommendations, going through our draft report to have September 1st, and our final report to meet the statutory deadlines of January 1st. Any comments or questions on the timeline? Okay. So next, as we're progressing through this, some of the working groups have had presentations by various organizations or different agencies, and we are looking as if there anything that anyone feels that would be advantageous that should be presented to the full commission, that we would be looking for those suggestions for upcoming meetings, as some of the working groups will be finishing up their piece of work as we're reviewing, and especially, certain topics within each of the working groups reports. If there's an agency or a supporting group or stakeholders that you think we should have in to address all of us, please, reach out and let us know if you don't have someone as of today that you want to let us know about. Terrific. Okay. As noted, our next commission meeting will be December 5th. It will be a much longer meeting than this one is, just so you're all aware. And we know everyone's blocked out a good hour and a half worth of time, and we greatly appreciate that. But please know that December meeting, we will be using the full amount of time as we start going through all of these reports and moving forward. Before we get into public comment, is there other business to come before us? Mr. Co-Chair, do you have anything you want to say? Okay. Hearing none, we do have one person that has registered for public comment, Lisa Coggins. Lisa, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for this opportunity to comment. My name is Lisa Coggins, and I reside at 13 Daynard Drive in Canton, Connecticut. Originally, I'm a New Jersey native. I spent 17 years of my life there, 15 years in Rhode Island, and the past 15 years in Connecticut. And I've had the privilege of living in a variety of settings, from extremely rural New Jersey countryside to typically suburban in Rhode Island, to the very urban in my 10 years in Stamford, Connecticut. And based on my personal experiences, I wanted to talk to you today about housing in Connecticut. Being from New Jersey, I'm very aware of the most significant civil rights judgment this country has seen, one of the most significant civil rights judgments, as known as the Mount Laurel Doctrine. And I'm pretty sure the state of Connecticut Affordable Housing Regulation 830G is based on that judgment. And I am in agreement of the need for its purpose. But I feel like the regulations for housing lack in its totality and vision. Imagine, if you will, a 25-acre farm in a rural area such as Canton that has been divided over a century into 12 single-family parcels and zoned that way. Most of the parcels have developed into single-family residences with 1+ acre of land, but 2 small parcels remain undeveloped and are rezoned. And with the passing of your legislation, a developer sees the undeveloped parcel and applies for and is approved a 30-unit apartment complex. Now remember, this is once a large rural farm, but is now a cluster of family properties that were not part of a planned development. Because of your regulations, the developer does not need to supply adequate parking in this rural area. They also do not need to provide significant green spaces for the potential residents to play with children, to garden, or to walk pets. The future apartment complex has no sidewalks to connect it to commercial businesses and no access to social services such as municipal parks. And even though the residents could walk their children to school because it's less than a mile away, they will never be able to because there are no sidewalks along the state roads in this rural area. This is all allowed by your regulations, which provide a lower quality of life for the future residents in this rural area. And this scenario is not imaginary. It is in the process of development in my neighborhood. When I was a Stamford resident, what I enjoyed most about living there was the connectivity, access to businesses and services, and its overall walkability. Housing Plan 830G lacks a vision of infrastructure and will ultimately create islands of isolated people who feel trapped unless they have motor vehicles.
3 minutes is up. Please summarize.
I want to say that I think your regulation lacks inclusivity of a pedestrian and cycling framework, and I urge you to create incentives for rural municipalities to pass the complete streets policy as law into their charters, which will ultimately make the 830G regulation more feasible and sensible for rural areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate your comments, and we'll have those noted into our records. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Seeing no other public comment, we can take a motion to adjourn at 3:18 p.m. Is there a motion?
So
So-
moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.